5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom! Hey, yeah, how you doing? I'm Thundercloud here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rains. Let's shed some light on the situation. I'm here on Chillin Tuesday with the Chillin Tuesday Poetcast from the Seahorse Medicine Cafe at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. I'm sorry about last week. I missed you. Yes, by the time I got around to it, I had karate here, then I had a band practice here after that, and then by the time it was all over, it was way too late to do any recording of poetry. So I'm very sorry. I apologise for missing Chillin Tuesdays last week. Tonight it's currently 4 degrees outside here in Guyra, so we are chilling. We're heading for a top of 1, gonna feel like -2, something like that. Tomorrow it's gonna be all the way up to 14 degrees. It was a beautiful day here today, chilling away in this lovely place of Guyra. We're in the Arcadia Theatre at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Right. What have I got for you tonight? Well, first of all, I'm going to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which I broadcast, the Camberwell people and the Banby people, and acknowledge their continuing connection to the land of the elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge that sovereignty has never been ceded. All right, moving right along. Tonight, I'm going to start with $50 Dave. David Unaipon, or Unaipon, who was a preacher. He was born in, 1872 and passed away in 1967. He was a preacher, author, inventor, and was born on the 28th of September, at Point Macleay Mission in South Australia. The fourth of 9 children. He developed and patented a modern handpiece for shearing, and he was obsessed with discovering the secret of perpetual motion. But he was also famous for his writing, and he was the first Aboriginal to publish a book, and he wrote some poetry. And tonight I'm going to be reading some of his poetry, and I'll just read his biography in the back of this book here, the Penguin Anthology of Australian Poetry, edited by John Kinsella. David Unaipon is said to be the first Australian writer of Aboriginal descent to have published a book in Australia. Unaipon was Narrinyeri, born at Wright in South Australia. His book Nature Legend appeared in 1929, which was the year that this theatre here was built. Unaipon was also a preacher and an inventor, and wrote his autobiography My Life Story in 1954. A strong influence on the welfare of Indigenous people in South Australia, tireless and driven in his belief, Unaipon has become an icon. His portrait is on the $50 note. Okay, so his poetry. David Unaipon. Narrinyeri saying, like children at play, we begin life's journey. Push our frail bark into the stream of time that flows from snow-capped mountain with no care, singing and laughing, as our boat glides upon the tide, wending its way through steep rocky banks and meadows with bushes and plants all abloom and sweet fragrant flowers, until we arrive in the great ocean, where we are baffled and tossed by angry waves, onward and onward, for 70 years and 10. Then we are cast forlorn and shipwrecked upon the shore of a strange land. Song of the Platypus by David Unaipon. Give me more grubs as the water ripples, and make for me bread of the nardu seed. Do this often and often as the sun does rise, and I shall gather in the shade of night. The food thou shalt throw into the water hunting place of mine, because I am hiding all day, fearing that someone may call up the lightning, thunder and rain. Song of Hungarrda. Bright, consuming spirit, no power on earth so great as thee. Firstborn child of the goddess of birth and light, thy habitation betwixt heaven and earth, within a veil of clouds dark as night, accompanied by furious wind and lashing rain and hail, riding majestically upon the storm, flashing at intervals, illuminating the abode of man. Thine anger and thy power thou revealst to us sometimes in a streak of light which leaps upon a great towering rock which stood impregnable and unchallenged in its birthplace when the earth was formed, and hurls its fragments down the mountainside, striking terror into man and beast alike. Thus in wonder I am lost, no mortal man can conceive, no mortal tongue express in language intelligible, heaven-born spark. I cannot see nor feel thee, thou art concealed, mysteriously wrapped within the fibre and bark of tree and bush and shrubs. Why dost thou condescend to dwell within a piece of stick, as I roam from place to place for enjoyment or search of food? My soul is filled with gratitude and love for thee, and my conscience too, of thine all-pervading spirit presence. It seems so strange that thou wilt not hear or reveal thyself, nor bestow a blessing unless I pray. But to plead is not enough to bring thee forth and cause thy growing smiles to flicker over my frame, but must strive and wrestle with this piece of stick, pressing and twirling into another stick with all the power I possess to release the bonds that bind thee fast. Then shall thy living spark leap forth in contact with grass and twig. Thy flame leaps upward like waves that press and roll. Radiant sister of the day, I cannot live without thee, for when at twilight and in the depths of midnight, before the morning dawns, the mist hangs over the valley like death's cold shroud, and dewdrops chill the atmosphere, Ingi Tuma. Then, like thy bright mother shining from afar, thy beaming smiles and glowing energy radiates into this frail body, transfusing life, health, comfort, and happiness too. Interesting. Yeah, lovely. All right, and so the next one I've got for you, well, it's not that one because that's not one that I marked. And it's actually, it should be Alf Taylor. Yeah, because I've been doing a bit of Alf Taylor recently from some of his other books. Well, this one's called Moorditj Yorgah. You are cruel, deadly Moorditj Yorgah, and I'm maldong for you, but I'm just a windjaren, Nunga man, but I'm gonna try to get off. disturba and ganja, and be cruel. Deadly Moorditj Yorgah man, you are indeed a truly deadly, solid Moorditj Yorgah. And Jeriping Jing, something wicked for you, but just a Wintjaran Yorgah man. I'm gonna get off disturba and ganja and show you what a Moorditj man I can be, and give you all the love that I can, but condonge, chew and shame. Yeah. And a bit about Alf Taylor. Alf Taylor was born in 1947 in Perth. He spent his younger years with his family in Perth, then joined his brother at New Norcia Mission. Alf spent the rest of his childhood there. As a young man, he worked around Perth and Geraldton as a seasonal farm worker, then joined the armed forces and was based at various locations around Australia. Alf then left the armed forces, went home after marriage, 7 children, of only 2 survived, and a divorce. Alf Taylor found his right voice as a writer and poet, although it's a gift he believes he was born with. Alright, now I've been looking in this book here, which is The Poet's Pen, but it's a compilation of poetry, an anthology by A.K. Thomson and Judith Wright, going all the way back to sort of like the 1300s. But I'm going to do the Australian stuff here. And this one is Henry Kendall. Pardon me. Have a cup of tea. Henry Kendall was born in 1839 and died in 1882. To a mountain. To thee, O Father of the stately peaks, above me in the loftier light, to thee. Imperial brother of those awful hills, whose feet are set in splendid spheres of flame, whose heads are where the gods are, and whose sides of strength are belted round with all the zones of all the worlds, I dedicate these songs. And if, within the compass of this book, there lives and glows one verse in which there are beats, the pulse of wind and torrent, if one line is here that like a running water sounds, and seems an echo from the lands of leaf, be sure that line is thine here in this home, away from men and books and all the schools. I take thee for my teacher, in thy voice of deathless majesty. I kneeling hear God's authentic gospel, year by year. The great sublime cantata of thy storm strikes through my spirit, fills it with a laugh. Oh, pardon me. Strikes through my spirit, fills it with a life of startling beauty. Thou, my Bible art, with holy leaves of rock and flower and tree, and moss and shining runnel, from each page that helps to make thy awful volume, I have learned a noble lesson in the psalm of thy grave winds, and in the liturgy of singing waters. Lo, my soul has heard the higher worship, and from thee, indeed, the broad foundations of a finer hope were gathered in, and thou hast lift up the blind horizon for a larger faith. Moreover, like in exalted woods of naked glory, in the green and gold of forest sunshine, I have paused like one with all the life transfigured in the flood of light ineffable, has made me feel as felt the grand old prophets caught away by flames of inspiration, but the words sufficient for the story of my dream are far too splendid for poor human lips. But thou, to whom I turn with reverent eyes, O stately Father, whose majestic face shines far above the zone of the wind and cloud, where high dominion of the morning is, thou hast the song complete, of which my songs are pallid adumbrations, certain sounds of authentic sorrow in this book, and only these may touch the great world's heart, for lo, they are the issues of that grief which makes a man more human, and his life more like that frank exalted life of thine. But in these pages there are other tones, in which thy large superior voice is not, through which no beauty that resembles thine has ever shone. These are the broken words of blind occasions, when the world has come between me and my dream. No song is here of mighty compass for my singing robes. I've worn in stolen moments all my days, have been the days of laborious life, and ever on my struggling soul has burned the fierce heat of this hurried sphere. But thou, to whose majesty fair I dedicate my book of rhymes, thou hast the perfect rest, which makes the heaven of the highest gods. To thee the noises of this violent time, thou are far faint whispers, and from age to age within the world, and yet apart from it, thou standeth. Round the lordly capes the sea rolls on with a superb indifference. Forever, in thy deep, green, gracious glens, the silver fountains sing forever. For above the dim ghosts of waters, in the caves, the royal robe of morning on thy head abides forever. Evermore, the wind is thy august companion, and thy peers are cloud and thunder, and the face sublime of blue mid-heaven on thy awful brow is deity, and in that voice of thine there is the great imperial utterance of God forever, and thy feet are set where evermore through all the days and years there rolls the grand hymn of the deathless wave. To a Mountain by Henry Kendall. Yeah, I don't know what to think about that one. Alright, well, I'm going to move on now. I think I might do one of my own bits of poetry. And who will I be doing? Well, myself. Yes, that's right. Okay, here we go. This one is called yes. There once was a man with so much hair that he got lost in his hair and couldn't find him anywhere. His hair grew messy and his beard was so long nobody could hear when he sang a song. That's it. It's a quatrain, 4 lines. Okay. Alright, okay, what about a crooked man? There was a crooked man who wore a crooked hat. He lived in a crooked house with a crooked dog and cat. He always told the truth, never told a crooked lie, an honest crooked man from birth until he died. He had a crooked job maintaining the crooked mountain road, fixing crooked potholes from unsecured crooked loads. There was a crooked man who lived a crooked life. He had a crooked children and he had a crooked wife. He had a crooked hen and he had a crooked cock. The hen laid crooked eggs, the crooked cock his alarm clock. Yes. Okay. All right, we got another one for you. Yes, we do. Yes, I do. I do. Okay, here we go. This one was written just the other day. It was written Sunday morning, in the middle of the morning. We had a big do here on Saturday night, the Vanuatu Independence Day, and I was up cleaning away at 1:50 when I saw my Tawny Frogmouth outfit and spoke to me. The Tawny Frogmouth has spoken to me at 1:50 in the night. It said, I've come across many people and I'm here to shed some light. I'm a messenger of the dead and this is what they have to say. You don't need drugs or alcohol to get you through the day. The best drug you can take is stretch and exercise at dawn. No matter how cold it is, if you move your ass, you're warm. Drink a glass of water and then drink another one. Breathe deep for energy, and energy comes from the sun. Then before you start the day, have freezing cold showers and you'll live a long life and you'll have superpowers. I'm a Tawny Frogmouth and one thing you can employ is live a life of gratitude, love, peace, bliss and joy. I hope that you've been listening to everything I've said. It's your choice if you want to live long, healthy and not dead. I've one last thing to say before I fly away from here. You can have a good time without drinking wine or beer. The Tawny Frogmouth left, he just up and flew away. And I'm just the scribe of what the Tawny Frogmouth had to say. That's me. It's my job. Being the scribe. Okay. Well, I haven't been overly prolific with writing my poetry this week, so I've only written 3 in the last 5 or 6 days, but that's alright, it's more than I have. Alright, well that's it for Chillin Tuesday's Poetcast. Yes, it's a short one tonight. Here from the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Going to keep them around about 30 minutes or so. Not much longer because we've got our big one tomorrow night, Wednesday Words, open mic poetry night here from Seahorse Medicine Cafe in the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Don't forget, every Wednesday it is. Yes, you can catch up here on Facebook, YouTube. Okay, make sure you give it one of those things. Please do it now while I'm talking to you. Do those things or one of those things. And also, if you comment in the comment section, it actually helps get distribution on Facebook. So it'd be really appreciated if you can give it some of them things and some commenty things and share it, because everyone should love poetry, because poetry is awesome, because it's got our history in it. And I'm Thundercloud. Washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rains. Everybody knows Mum calls me James. I reckon I've got one more for you here before I go. What do we got for you? Let's see what we're going to pull up. Alright, this one. You ready? This one is called... Okay. All enemies of the heart. All enemies can become friends, but there is one enemy that must never be negotiated with, and that is the destructive enemy of the self. This enemy of the self consists of judgment, anger, hatred, attachment, jealousy, fear. Love thy heart and thyself, and never let those enemies win. Okay, so there you go. All right. Well, what about turtles? The turtle said, see, turtles live for 100 years, but you'll never ever see a turtle's tears, even though the turtles are crying. They live in the sea and the tears are never drying. I was walking along the beach and up a turtle swam, said, I got a message for you and all the humans. Turtles are dying all through the sea. I've come to the beach so you'll see me dry and I'm crying. My mummy is dead. She choked on a plastic bag, the turtle said. It looked like a jellyfish floating in the sea. My mummy ate it, thought it was yummy. My daddy's got a fishing line stuck around his neck, washed overboard from some trawler's deck. My brother's had enough. Feeling quite ill, he's no room in his tummy, it's just plastic fill. My sister's flipper's wrapped in a fishing line. Half the population's gone. Can't you see I'm crying? I can't stop it, it's up to you. Tell all the humans about all the damage they do. From all of that waste and plastic pollution, you're smarter than that. Please find a solution. You don't need all the stuff. Half the stuff you buy, you can't take it with you when you travel and die. Time for humans to reduce this plastic waste, because I'm fed up with this plastic ocean taste. There's one more thing the turtle said. How would you feel with a bag on your head? Can't swim backwards and in frustration, choked and dying from suffocation. Can't you see these tears of mine? Do you hear me? All my friends are dying. I said to the turtle, this is what I'll do. I'll tell my friends, and now I'm telling you, clean the oceans, make it like one before, and then the turtles will live to 100 or more. Turtles can live for a very long time, but the plastic is killing them, and they are dying. And if you want your kids to see a turtle too, here's the thing that you have to do. Reduce, reuse, repair what you can. Don't let the earth be a nurturing human. And if we all work together to make the sea clean, when my crying turtle tears will just be a dream. If we don't work together to stop the turtle dying, then there'll be no turtle left. There'll be no turtle crying. Turtles can live for 100 years, but you'll never ever see a turtle's tears, even though the turtles are crying. They live in the sea, their tears are never drying. I was walking along the beach and up a turtle swam, said, I got a message for you and all the humans. Turtles are dying all through the sea. I've come to the beach so you'll see me dry and I'm crying. My baby's dead. She choked on a plastic bag, the turtle said. Yeah, so there you go. Reduce your plastic. And, well, you know, I got a lot of hair and I wash it because otherwise it gets pretty messy because I'm the human zoo. Have you heard of the Quangle Wangle on the top of the crumpety tree? He had a very, very big hat and many animals lived with he. Well, I feel like the Quangle Wangle because I just washed my hair and I found a bippity bird that made a nest up there. There was also a cloppity cat as well as a diggity dog. Behind my left ear was an elfin elephant as well as a flippity frog. Goliath giraffe had built a home. Huey the hippo lived on my head. I've even an idiot iguana living inside of my dreads. Jocko the jackal has left and he found a new home. He took with him Coogie Koala and they built a new home on their own. Morris the mouse has his family too, as well as 999 newts. An ostrich, an octopus, a panda, as well as a quokka that is very cute. Ricky the rhino was there and a serpent inside of my hair. Tommy the tiger is tricky and lived inside my beard hair. I was sitting out in the sun drying my wet hair when out of my hair came a sea urchin and a drop bear. There was Vicky the viper in there, a wombat inside of my hair, as well as a couple of X-Men who were hiding in there. There was a yak from the Himalayas and a zany zebra too. Today when I washed my dreadlocks I discovered I'm the human zoo. I feel like the Quangle Wangle with living animals in my hair, which is why I wash it, because they all poo in there. It's probably, possibly not true. All right, well, that's it from me here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Stay tuned tomorrow night for Wednesday Words, open mic poetry night. Yes, we'll be here live. I think Gabriel Donlevy, he's over in Iraq. But certainly, yes, we'll be joined by Gladys, Ashley, Steve, hopefully, whoever else makes their way up here, Paul, anyone else. Yes, make your way here to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, 6:30 till around about 8 o'clock tomorrow night. And if you come early, 5:30, 6, you can have dinner here in Seahorse Medicine Cafe as well. All right, I'm Thundercloud, washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rain. So don't forget, like it, subscribe, thumbs up, and leave a comment. Yeah.